Jon Jones stepping into the cage with Tom Aspinall might just be the kind of matchup that UFC fans have been craving for years. On one side stands a living legend with an aura of invincibility, tested by accusations and controversies, yet still towering at the pinnacle of the sport. On the other, a surging powerhouse, smashing through the heavyweight division faster than almost anyone before him. Is this the collision that could finally see the king challenged, or even dethroned? Whispers of a Jones-Aspinall showdown have already stirred passionate debates. Some believe Aspinall's speed and skill could spell trouble for Jones, while others claim the veteran's mental warfare and unpredictability remain unmatched. And with Jon Jones's recent move to heavyweight, the timing feels eerily perfect. If these two forces ever collide, the aftermath might reshape the entire division. Buckle up, because we're about to explore exactly how this potential face-off could rewrite UFC history. Jon Jones, often hailed as one of the greatest in MMA history, has built his reputation on both brilliance in the cage and turmoil outside of it. He burst onto the scene at a young age, taking down established veterans with creative strikes and takedowns that seemed effortless. Elbows in the clinch, spinning attacks, and wrestling transitions were all part of his arsenal, each move carefully calculated to wear down even the toughest challengers. Fight fans still talk about how he dismantled legends, how he always seemed one step ahead of whoever dared stand across from him. Yet as he soared, outside dramas threatened to pull him back to earth. Accusations surfaced, legal issues popped up, and some questioned whether these distractions might derail him entirely. In many ways, Tom Aspinall represents the opposite narrative arc. He wasn't an overnight global superstar, nor did he arrive with a media onslaught branding him the division's savior. Rather, Aspinall quietly climbed the ranks, fight after fight, showcasing a deadly combination of crisp boxing and powerful grappling. His speed confounds opponents who expect a lumbering heavyweight and find themselves instead face-to-face with a fighter who moves like a middleweight. Competing out of the UK, he carries the hopes of British MMA fans, many of whom have been eager to see a true heavyweight contender emerge from their shores. Once he began finishing fights rapidly through knockouts or slick submissions, rumors started swirling. Jones, despite his controversies, remains an unmatched strategist. Their records alone demand respect, and when observers pit them against each other, it's hard not to imagine fireworks. Even with so many reasons to believe in Aspinall's potential, a fight against Jon Jones is about more than just skill. It's about whether the rising star can handle the intimidation factor of a name that has been etched into MMA folklore. Can Aspinall remain calm under the brightest lights and the heaviest burden of expectation? Because when you fight Jones, you fight more than a man. You face the aura he's built over years of sustained dominance. With the UFC heavyweight division always in flux, Jon Jones's decision to move up from light heavyweight immediately reset the conversation. The moment he officially set his sights on heavyweight, fans clamored to see how he'd fare against the big guns. Would his speed and creativity translate well with the added mass? Could he control fights against opponents who naturally walk around at weights he had to work to reach? Tom Aspinall's rise coincided almost perfectly with this shift. Watching him dismantle competition in a division that can be notoriously shallow at times brought new excitement. Suddenly, heavyweights weren't just about raw power or one-punch knockouts. Aspinall showed agility, fluid footwork, and submission skills that have rarely been seen in the weight class. That new energy, combined with Jones's move upward, lit a fire under this potential showdown. Adding to the hype are the inevitable social media teasers. Anytime Aspinall posts a clip of his training sessions, sharpening his boxing combos, or drilling his takedowns, fans tag Jon Jones asking, "Are you watching?" When Jones hints at his next fight or suggests he's looking for the biggest challenge at heavyweight, people speculate if Aspinall's name might be at the top of that list. The hype machine runs on imagination, and this matchup provides endless fuel. More than anything, fans sense a shift in the UFC's heavyweight pecking order. Past champions have come and gone, and new challengers keep stepping up. Where does Aspinall fit, and how would Jones handle a fresh opponent who appears less predictable than the old guard? The why now is simple. The division feels ripe for a momentous clash that either cements Jones's legendary status in a new domain or signals the arrival of a star who can stand among MMA's elite. Jon Jones is famed for a style that's difficult to categorize. He's equally comfortable fighting at range, in close quarters, or on the mat. At times, he'll pepper opponents with deep kicks to the knees and legs, frustrating them until they rush forward. Then he unloads a dynamic strike or a sneaky takedown. His fight IQ remains one of his most lethal weapons. He adjusts on the fly, exploits weaknesses, and rarely makes the same mistake twice. Tom Aspinall, meanwhile, demonstrates a rare fluidity that contradicts the usual heavyweight blueprint. Traditional big men often rely on brute strength or one-punch power, but Aspinall pairs quick footwork with precise combinations. He enters exchanges with jabs and straights that land before his opponent can fully react, and if the fight fight hits the ground, he's shown he can handle himself with swift transitions, threatening submissions that can catch even seasoned grapplers off guard. When analyzing how these two might match up, consider how Jones has historically dismantled strikers who lack strong takedown defense. Could Aspinall keep the fight standing long enough to use his speed and crisp boxing? If Jones can time a takedown, can Aspinall spring back to his feet? The strategic puzzle is made more complex by Aspinall's underrated ground game. Jones might find himself grappling against someone who won't simply crumble under top pressure. Yet there's another angle: conditioning. Heavyweight bouts can grind to a halt if fighters lack endurance, but Aspinall claims he trains for a pace that few heavyweights can maintain. Jones, known for going 5 rounds with relative ease at light heavyweight, might need a different approach now that he carries extra mass. If this fight reached the later rounds, who would fade first? The possibilities create an ever-changing picture that both men would have to navigate under the most intense scrutiny. Jon Jones is notorious for subtle jabs and mental warfare that throw opponents off balance. He's been through countless high-stakes battles, and his experience in the spotlight gives him a psychological edge. With cryptic social media posts and carefully timed comments, he knows how to create doubt in an opponent's mind. Aspinall, however, has shown a calm and collected demeanor, seemingly unfazed by the external noise. If he can maintain that composure, he might sidestep Jones's usual psychological tricks. But standing under the brightest lights in the sport can break even the steeliest resolve. Could Aspinall's rise lose steam under the weight of intense media scrutiny, or would he keep his cool and stand his ground? As the anticipation grows, so does the pressure on both fighters. For Jones, every fight is a battle to preserve his legend. Critics say any slip-up could tarnish an already complicated legacy, while supporters see him as the unstoppable force of MMA. Aspinall faces a different kind of burden. He's hailed as the next big thing, a potential torchbearer for a new generation of heavyweights. Living up to that hype is no small feat, especially if your opponent is someone many call the greatest ever. Fans, media, and pundits all have their own takes. Some imagine a quick finish by the young lion, signaling a seismic shift in heavyweight history. Others believe Jones, with his lethal arsenal, would teach Aspinall a lesson in humility. The tension already mounting only gets heavier as the fight edges closer to reality. Still, there's another question begging to be answered. While the pre-fight buildup is mesmerizing, the real drama unfolds once the cage door slams shut. Jones has made entire careers unravel inside those locked confines, using unpredictable attacks that force opponents to react instead of act. Aspinall, though less experienced at the elite level, has demonstrated an uncanny ability to seize openings the moment they appear, whether by landing a lightning-quick combination or snapping on a submission that stuns onlookers. Could Jones, with his newfound heavyweight frame, discover an even more punishing clinch game, pressing Aspinall against the cage and wearing him down? Or might Aspinall's speed be so disorienting that Jones finds himself on the back foot, forced to improvise an entirely new strategy? Mid-fight, heavyweight power also changes the dynamic drastically. One clean punch from either man could alter the fight's trajectory in seconds. There's also the possibility of a slower-paced strategic battle. If both are wary of each other's finishing ability, they might engage in a high-stakes chess match, where feints and distance control dominate the early rounds. Jones has thrived in 5-round contests, sometimes slowly dismantling opponents as he accumulates damage. Aspinall, for his part, insists he can push a torrid pace even in the championship rounds, though we've rarely seen him tested past the early stages of fights. And let's not forget the potential for freak occurrences: an unexpected injury, a slip that leads to a scramble on the ground, or even a surprising cut that changes the complexion of the match. The fight game is as unpredictable as it is thrilling. One brief miscalculation could open the door for a sudden finish, leaving fans stunned and the victor raising their arms in triumph, with the entire MMA world left to piece together what just happened. If Jones prevails, he solidifies his claim as the ultimate champion, silencing doubters who questioned his move to heavyweight. A victory could even pave the way for future mega fights or a long, dominant run. On the other hand, if Aspinall pulls off the upset, the implications are enormous. Overnight, he'd become the face of the heavyweight division, igniting fresh matchups and compelling storylines that breathe new life into the UFC. Whichever direction the verdict falls, the ripples would be felt for years. Still, the biggest thrill for fans might be the sheer possibility, the hope that once in the octagon, these two forces produce a bout so electrifying it enters UFC lore. The potential for that caliber of fight is what keeps everyone on the edge of their seats. As the rumor mill churns and fans chatter excitedly on every social platform, Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall remains the dream matchup that could reshape the heavyweight division and possibly the UFC at large. Both fighters bring exceptional skills and unique backstories. Both command respect, albeit in very different ways. For Jones, it's a chance to cement his name among the absolute greatest, silencing those who've questioned his move to a new weight class. For Aspinall, it's an unprecedented opportunity to vault into the stratosphere of MMA stardom by toppling a seemingly invincible champion. Yet the excitement lies not just in who wins or loses, but in the journey itself. The mental battles, the training camps, the weigh-ins, the press conferences, every step would be charged with anticipation. And should they finally meet in the center of the Octagon, fans around the globe would hold their breath, waiting to see which storyline prevails. The veteran champion adding another jewel to his crown, or the rising phenom rewriting the script and ushering in a new era. In the end, no one can say with certainty what would happen if Jon Jones fights Tom Aspinall. That uncertainty is precisely what makes the matchup so compelling. The only way to find out is for both men to sign on the dotted line and step into that cage. Until then, the speculation continues to swirl, and the MMA world stands ready for a fight that might just leave us all speechless. Because in a sport defined by its unpredictability, a showdown of this magnitude could give us a moment that echoes for years. A singular night when myth and momentum collide, and the future of the heavyweight division is decided in a heartbeat.